It's a showdown years in the making, and now, it's finally playing out in the courtroom. A dramatic split, a fierce custody battle, and a ruling that could rewrite the family's future. But what really went down behind closed doors? Why are fans calling this Christine's ultimate comeback and Kody's biggest defeat? Stay tuned, because this is the chapter they never wanted the world to see. In November 2021, after nearly 3 decades together, Kody Brown dropped a bombshell. She was leaving Kody Brown, her spiritual husband and the head of the Sister Wives family. Fans were stunned, but those who followed closely had seen cracks forming for years. Kody was Kody's third wife in their plural marriage, a bond not legally recognized but deeply intertwined with faith and family values. Kody had long been a cornerstone of the Brown household, beloved for her upbeat spirit and unwavering dedication to her children. But beneath the surface, tensions were rising. Over time, cracks grew too big to ignore. The Sister Wives cameras captured much of this slow unraveling. In later seasons, Kody grew more vocal about feeling sidelined, neglected emotionally and dismissed in key family decisions. She expressed frustration over Kody's distance and the lack of support, especially regarding parenting and her own autonomy. On camera, Kody confessed he no longer felt love for Kody, even questioning if he ever truly had. The bond between them had clearly deteriorated. One pivotal moment came when Kody revealed Kody told her he no longer wanted an intimate relationship. For Kody, that was the breaking point. She later shared in interviews that she couldn't remain in a marriage where she felt unloved and unwanted. But leaving wasn't just about heartbreak. It was also about reclaiming her life, and fighting for her youngest child, truly. Kody made the tough choice to leave Flagstaff, Arizona, where the Browns had settled in 2018, and moved to Utah to be closer to her older children and extended family. Truly, then just 11, came with her. Kody's move was a bold declaration of independence. In Utah, she found the support she needed, surrounded by her daughter Aspen and husband Mitch nearby. For years, Kody had dreamed of living near her children and grandchildren, and now, that dream was within reach. Meanwhile, Kody stayed in Arizona, continuing life with his fourth wife, Robin, his only legal spouse after divorcing his first wife Mary in 2014 to adopt Robin's children. Kody's closeness with Robin had long stirred tensions. Kody and the other wives often felt there was an imbalance, with Kody favoring Robin over the rest. As Kody began building a new life in Utah, Kody's world in Flagstaff started to feel smaller and more isolated. Publicly, Kody released a statement acknowledging the split, expressing sadness but emphasizing his respect for Kody's decision. Kody, meanwhile, expressed gratitude for the years they shared but made it clear she was moving forward with purpose. Fans of Sister Wives watched the fallout unfold in real time, both on the show and across social media. Kody grew more open, more vocal, and visibly happier. She started sharing glimpses of her new life, her cozy home in Utah, adventures with Truly, and a growing sense of peace that had been missing for years. Her departure marked a major shift in the Sister Wives family dynamic. Kody wasn't just the first wife to leave, she was the first to challenge the family structure from within and walk away on her own terms. It was a powerful statement, not only about love and marriage but about self-respect and personal growth. Kody's move carried a bigger message. For years, the show portrayed plural marriage as a complex but functional lifestyle. Kody's exit shattered that narrative, revealing the deep emotional costs when one partner's needs are ignored. By the time she settled in Utah, Kody had already started laying the foundation for her next chapter. She launched a successful LuLaRoe business, grew a loyal social media following, and became an outspoken advocate for women's empowerment and setting personal boundaries. She embraced single motherhood wholeheartedly, celebrating milestones with Truly and reconnecting with her older children, Mikel T, Pedden, and Isabel. Through it all, Kody's focus remained steady, building a better life for herself and her children. Her departure was measured, determined, and rooted in years of quiet dissatisfaction. While Kody seemed to thrive in her new life, the Brown family back in Arizona was visibly fractured. The once united plural household now faced an uncertain future. The exit of one wife raised questions about what would come next for the family. But Kody wasn't looking back. She had left behind a lifestyle that no longer served her, taking the first step toward bigger battles, and even greater victories, including a landmark child support ruling. On September 16, 2024, Kody made her next bold move, not on camera, but in court. Nearly 3 years after ending her relationship with Kody, she filed a formal lawsuit in Utah, pushing their separation into the legal arena and forcing a reckoning over their shared child, Truly Grace Brown. This legal action marked a dramatic shift from Christine's earlier public stance. While she had been open about her personal transformation and fresh start, this lawsuit signaled she was no longer willing to leave things unresolved behind the scenes. She demanded structure, protection, and legal recognition, especially for Truly. According to Utah court documents, Christine's petition included 3 main demands. She sought establishment of paternity, full physical and legal custody of Truly, and child support from Kody. She also filed for a domestic relations injunction, a court order meant to prevent harassment, financial retaliation, or either parent taking Truly out of state without consent during the legal proceedings. These were far from symbolic gestures. Each filing addressed a real legal gap created by the unique circumstances of Christine and Kody's relationship. Because they were never legally married and Kody hadn't formally established legal paternity, Christine's lawsuit was crucial to ensure both Truly's rights and Christine's rights as her custodial parent were legally protected under Utah law. One striking detail in the filing was that Kody Brown's name didn't appear on Truly's birth certificate. While unusual for a biological father who had openly acknowledged paternity, this omission was reportedly a deliberate choice made years earlier. Back in 2010, when Truly was born, the Brown family was navigating legal gray areas due to Utah's criminalization of polygamy. To avoid legal trouble, Christine had left Kody's name off the birth certificate, a decision that would later complicate things dramatically. Without legal recognition, the state saw Kody as having no parental rights over Truly. He couldn't make medical decisions, enroll her in school, or even consent to travel plans. He also had no enforceable visitation rights. On the flip side, Christine had no legal way to seek child support unless she petitioned the court to establish paternity retroactively, which is exactly what she did. The paternity filing was a formal request for the court to legally acknowledge Kody as Truly's father, something the public assumed for years but which had never been officially confirmed. Once paternity was legally established, the court would have the authority to decide custody and support arrangements. Christine's petition sought full physical and legal custody, meaning she would be responsible for all major decisions and Truly would live primarily with her. This matched their reality since Christine moved to Utah. Truly had been living exclusively with her mother, attending school there, and building a life apart from Kody's household in Arizona. Christine wanted to make this arrangement official through a formal custody order. Alongside custody, she asked the court to require Kody to pay child support. Though the exact amount wasn't disclosed, Utah law provides formulas to calculate support based on income and custody time. Since Christine requested full custody, if paternity was confirmed, Kody would likely be ordered to cover a significant portion of Truly's expenses, health insurance, education, and everyday living costs included. The domestic relations injunction Christine requested acted as an important safeguard. It barred both parents from disrupting Truly's schooling, meddling in each other's finances, or relocating Truly without mutual consent or court approval. It also prohibited harassment or intimidation, a key protection for Christine as the case progressed. Neither Christine nor Kody made public statements right after the filing, but the lawsuit's timing and terms spoke volumes. Christine was done waiting for cooperation. She wanted enforceable rights and clear obligations, and she demanded the court recognize the reality that Truly had long been in her care. By now, this wasn't just a private family dispute anymore. It had become a legal battle. The informal agreements and emotional negotiations of the past were over. Christine had drawn a hard line, and that line ran straight into the courtroom. This lawsuit would lay the foundation for everything that followed: custody hearings, financial conflicts, and public revelations about Kody's role as a father. But in this moment, it boiled down to simple justice: a mother seeking legal clarity and a child finally being protected under the law. On December 1, 2024, Christine and Kody faced each other once again, not in person, but through a computer screen. Their long-simmering family feud had officially entered the courtroom. The hearing, held via web conference, was a critical procedural step in what had become a high-stakes, complicated legal case. Though the hearing itself wasn't open to the public, Utah court records revealed key developments. The court officially categorized the case as a Track 3 dispute, a serious designation reserved for high-conflict custody battles. This classification isn't given lightly. In Utah, Track 3 cases signal intense disagreement, often involving emotional strain, contested parenting rights, and sometimes accusations of manipulation or parental alienation. The court was making it clear, this wasn't a routine custody matter. Track 3 also meant the case would face tighter oversight and a slower, more deliberate timeline. Judges, evaluators, and mediators assigned to track 3 disputes typically have specialized training in handling high-conflict family law. The process becomes more rigorous, sometimes involving parenting coordinators or evaluations by child psychologists. Though procedural, this classification told its own story about how complicated and charged the situation had become. Despite the public image of Christine's independence and Kody's continued life in Arizona, the custody battle hadn't been resolved privately or amicably. Both sides had hired attorneys, were prepared to fight, and, according to court documents, held deep disagreements about the shared child's future. At the December hearing, no final decisions were made. That wasn't the point of this early conference. Instead, the focus was on managing the case, setting timelines, clarifying expectations, and ordering mediation as the next step. Mediation is standard in Utah family court, but in Track 3 cases, it's often mandatory and more involved. The judge scheduled Christine and Kody for a formal mediation session on May 21, 2025, nearly 6 months later, reflecting the dispute's complexity. The court expected both parties to gather evidence, submit affidavits, and be ready to discuss custody, visitation, and communication in a structured, supervised setting. Unlike courtroom battles, mediation is designed to encourage compromise, with a neutral third party helping parents find common ground and craft a parenting plan. But in high-conflict cases like this, deadlocks are common. The Browns' long, public history of emotional strain, mistrust, and fractured communication made cooperation far from guaranteed. Still, mediation represented the court's preferred path forward. Utah judges typically reserve full trials as a last resort. A successful mediation could spare both sides the financial and emotional cost of a custody trial, and might produce a workable co-parenting plan. Whether either side was willing to compromise remained unclear. By this stage, Christine had lived full-time with Truly in Utah for several years, while Kody stayed in Arizona. If Christine aimed for sole custody, as her filings suggested, mediation would likely formalize the status quo. Kody's position, however, hadn't been publicly disclosed. His openness to shared parenting or refusal would come under intense scrutiny during the May session. Although the December hearing lacked bombshell moments, it marked a major escalation. For the first time, private arrangements after Christine's departure had entered the formal legal arena. Now, a judge would oversee what happened next. Observers of the sister-wives saga noted the irony. For years, Kody had wielded patriarchal control over family decisions. But in a Utah courtroom, power was leveling. Christine had taken formal steps to balance the legal scales, and the state was watching. Most importantly, the December hearing put Truly front and center, in a new and sobering way. What began as a private family drama had evolved into custody classifications, court orders, and mediation deadlines. Every move going forward would impact not just Christine and Kody, but their daughter's stability, legal protections, and emotional well-being. As 2025 unfolded, both parents were on the clock. They had until May 21 to prepare, negotiate, and either resolve their differences or set the stage for a full custody trial, one that could expose even more of their fractured relationship to the legal system. The conflict had moved beyond hurt feelings and emotional distance. It was now about legal standing, custody rights, and court-mandated steps. And whether through resolution or further conflict, one thing was clear: the battle wasn't over. It was only entering its next, more intense phase. After months of legal back and forth and emotional uncertainty, Christine Brown triumphed, and Kody Brown faced a crushing defeat in a landmark child support ruling in May 2025. Christine secured full custody of her youngest daughter, Truly Grace Brown, along with a court-ordered child support agreement from her ex, Kody. For Christine, this marked the legal end of a battle she'd been quietly fighting for years. For Kody, it was a major blow, both financially and reputationally. Court records and media coverage confirmed that Christine now holds primary physical and legal custody of Truly. This means she will continue making all major decisions about Truly's education, healthcare, and living arrangements, responsibilities she'd already been shouldering alone since moving to Utah in 2021. What made the ruling truly significant was the accompanying child support order. After nearly 13 years of co-parenting without a formal legal framework, Kody was now mandated by the court to provide financial support. While the exact amount hasn't been disclosed, Utah's child support formulas take into account each parent's income and custody time. Since Christine was granted full custody, Kody's financial responsibility was expected to be substantial. For many, the ruling underscored exactly what Christine had been demanding: legal acknowledgement of the reality she'd lived since leaving Arizona. She'd been Truly's full-time parent, carrying the emotional and financial weight, making the key decisions, and providing stability. Sources close to the case described Christine as relieved and even emotional when the ruling was finalized. Though she'd built a new life in Utah with strength and grace, navigating motherhood without legal protections or financial support had taken its toll. Now, with the court formally recognizing her role and Kody's obligations, that burden eased. Christine reportedly said, "It's time to pay up for everything I've been through." For Kody, the ruling was a bitter pill to swallow. According to insiders, he tried during negotiations to trade informal visitation rights in exchange for avoiding child support payments. The court saw through this and sided firmly with Christine. And Kody, well, let's just say he was far from happy. Christine didn't hold back publicly, calling him a deadbeat dad during the proceedings, a statement that grabbed headlines. This wasn't just a heated remark. It reflected years of frustration over what Christine described as Kody's emotional and financial absence in Truly's life. It was a stark departure from the early sister wives days, when Kody presented himself as a hands-on, engaged father. But in Christine's eyes, that image never matched the reality, at least not when it came to Truly. As time went on, especially after Christine moved out of state, Kody's involvement reportedly dwindled. Fans of the show had noticed this distance too. Truly was often missing from family events filmed in Arizona, while Christine's social media frequently showed just the two of them together. The court's ruling seemed to confirm what many had long suspected. Kody had not been an active co-parent. The decision also carried symbolic weight. For years, Kody had held sway over the Brown household, shaping the family structure, directing key decisions, and often sidelining dissenting voices. But this time, Christine stepped up and took control. She didn't ask for approval. She went straight to court. Christine used the law to protect herself and her daughter, and she won. For many, the outcome was long overdue. Christine wasn't just the first Brown wife to leave. She was the first to take legal action against Kody, holding him accountable beyond what viewers saw on camera. In doing so, she set a precedent, not only for herself but for anyone navigating informal relationships with shared children and no legal framework. While the ruling settled the custody and support questions, it also shone a light on deeper issues within the Brown family. According to multiple reports, Kody was furious, not just over the financial implications, but over the loss of control it symbolized. The family that had once been central to his identity was now visibly fractured. And the ruling made it clear, Christine wasn't just emotionally finished with the past. She was legally protected and no longer answerable to him. As Christine emerged from the legal battle, she was a woman who stood her ground, absorbed the blows, and forced the system to recognize what she had always known: she was doing it all. And now, Kody was finally on the hook for his share. The ripple effects of Christine's victory spread quickly through the sister wives family. The court's decision didn't just close a chapter. It cracked open bigger questions about loyalty, priorities, and the future of a once unified family. Not long after Christine's win, public attention shifted to Kody and his only remaining wife, Robyn. The couple had recently purchased a $2.1 million mansion in Flagstaff, Arizona, an extravagant home that stood in stark contrast to the financial struggles faced by Kody's other wives in the past. The timing and scale of this purchase raised eyebrows, especially now that Kody was legally obligated to pay child support to Christine. Critics questioned his financial choices. How could a man fighting child support payments afford such a lavish lifestyle? Meanwhile, Christine's life had taken a dramatically different path. In 2023, she married David Woolley, a Utah-based construction executive. Their relationship, which Christine openly shared on social media, appeared stable, grounded, and supportive. For Christine, remarriage wasn't just about romance, it symbolized building a healthy family environment. She continued prioritizing her children's emotional well-being and fully embracing her role as Truly's full-time mom, while staying close to her adult children and grandchildren. Meanwhile, Kody's relationships with his other children, especially those from his marriages with Mary and Janelle, reportedly grew even more strained following the custody case. Several adult Brown children have spoken publicly about feeling neglected or distant from their father, with some choosing to step away entirely. The fractures within the family, which had been quietly growing for years, now seemed more permanent and visible than ever. For the Sister Wives franchise, Christine's boldness and legal moves added a new layer to the ongoing story. Her departure, remarriage, and courtroom victory could significantly influence the show's future direction. With fans increasingly invested in each wife's journey beyond Kody, Christine's story stands as a powerful example of reclaiming autonomy and securing legal protections in unconventional family structures. Observers have pointed out that Christine's choice to take legal action, not just walk away emotionally, sets a powerful new precedent. It's a shift from private heartbreak to public accountability. She proved that spiritual marriages carry real legal weight, especially when children are involved, and showed that women in similar situations have options beyond just emotional closure. Meanwhile, the Brown family's future feels more uncertain than ever. With Christine gone, and reports that Janelle and Mary have also separated from Kody, the polygamous family structure that once defined him is essentially falling apart. Robin remains Kody's only legal wife, but even their household seems strained as family bonds weaken and the spotlight grows brighter. Legally, the custody case is settled, but its ripple effects are still unfolding both behind the scenes and possibly on screen. Kody's financial obligations, public image, and personal relationships are all in flux. Christine, meanwhile, has risen not just as a mother with full custody and legal standing, but as a public figure redefining what empowerment can look like after plural marriage. The Brown family saga isn't over yet. So, what do you think is coming next? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you.